Hello everyone. I received this question today and I wanted to record my answer so that I could share it with you all just in case you guys ever run into a similar question. This is a basic algebra question. It's a little more complicated and we're going to work through it together. So the word problem is Professor Stevens wants to mix a solution, which is a mixture of substance and water. It contains 13% acid with one containing 18% acid. So they're going to mix two different acids of two different percentages. Okay, and they want to obtain a 50 milliliter solution that then contains 16% acid. So they're mixing two different percentages to create one that's kind of in the middle. How many milliliters of the 13% solution should the professor use? Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to create our equations. So our equation for this one is going to be a combination of our 13%, which we're going to call x. Ooh, I'm going to get a different color for that. That'll be our x value. Okay, and the 18% is going to be our y value. Okay, so the first part of our question, we know that we're going to have a certain number of milliliters of x and a certain number of y, and they need to add up to 50 milliliters in total. So that's our first equation. We don't know how much of x we have. We don't know how much of y we have. Now we need to work with what we know, which is our percentages. So for this one, we're going to say, okay, x. X is 13%. So we're going to have 13 times x. You could do this as 0.13 if you'd like, but for this, it doesn't really matter. You can leave it just as 13. I'm not putting in the percentages because that won't affect our equation. So we've got 13% of x. Okay, so we're saying basically 13% times however much we have for x plus 18%. Okay, so just like if we had percent there, again, you don't have to include it for this because in the end it's going to cancel out, but you can if you'd like. So then we've got our 18 times y, because that's our y value, equals, we know in the end we want to have a 16% mix and we want 50 milliliters in total. Okay, so what you can see there that we did is we've got our percentage for each. We've got, this would be our milliliter value. So we're multiplying those. Again, here we're doing our percent times our milliliters for our second acid. And then here we've got our percent that we want to reach in the end times our total milliliters. Okay, so we have two equations. So now we need to substitute in to our second equation right here from our first equation. Okay, so I'm going to change colors. So our x plus y down here, we're going to change it because we need to make either x or y equal something so that we can substitute it into number 2. So in this case, we're going to say, okay, our x plus y equals 50. Okay, so we can either subtract x to get rid of it on the left side and move it to the right, or we can subtract our y. Now at the top you can see we're looking for how much of the 13% solution. So technically we want to figure out what x is in the end. Okay, but so in this case we're going to go x equals, oh, I'm going to back up a little bit because I kind of skipped ahead. We're going to subtract our y on this side and subtract y on this side. Okay, that's our next step. So y minus y cancels out, and then we have 50 minus y left on the right hand side. Okay, so now we know x equals 50 minus y. And that's what we're going to substitute in to equation number 2. So if we start with our second equation, we've got 13 times, now we don't want to put x in there again because we now know another value for x, which is equal to 50 minus y, which you can see we took from up here, so we're just substituting in. Okay, plus 18y equals 16 times 50. Okay, so we keep working there. We've got 13 times 50. I'm going to keep that in blue so that you can see where those numbers are coming from. And then we've got minus 13 times y. Okay, so we did that one, and then we multiplied this one, and then we're going to add 18y equals, now just to make things go faster, we can multiply 16 times 50 using our calculator. 16 times 50 is 800. Okay, so there we go. So now we can do this one. Bring it down. 13 times 50 is 650. 13 times y is going to be subtract 13y, and then we add 18y still. Okay, that equals 800. So now, next step, we need to get rid of this 650 on this side of our equation. Okay, so to get rid of that, we're going to, since it's a positive, we're going to subtract 650 on this side. We're going to subtract 650 on this side. 650 minus 650 is 0. So basically that gets rid of that. 800 minus 650 is 150. So our next step, we come down and rewrite our equation. Negative 13y plus 18y equals 150. Now we can combine these. So 18y and negative 13, it's just like saying 18 take away 13, okay? Because we have our negative and our positive. So that leaves us with 5. So we have 5y equals 150. Now we want to get just y on this side, okay? So we're going to divide by 5 on this side. If we do it on the left side, we got to do it on the right side. So 5y divided by 5, basically, that gets rid of those. So we've got y equals 150 divided by 5. If we do it long division, 5 goes into 1 0 times. 5 goes into 15 3 times. Subtract 15, we've got 0. Bring down our 0. Well, 5 goes into 0 0 times. So we know y equals 30. Now, because we used milliliters at the top, again, we need to put milliliters in there at the bottom. Okay, so if we scroll all the way back up here, we know our y value is our 18% acid. We need our x value to answer our question. So to figure out our x value, we're going to use this equation right here. Okay, so we know that y is 30, so we're going to substitute in. We're going to use that equation. X equals 50 minus y. Same one I got up at the top. You can see it right there. So we're bringing it down here. Okay, and so x equals 50 milliliters. Take away 30 milliliters. So x equals 20 milliliters. So to get that 16% solution, we would need 20 milliliters at 13% and 30 milliliters at 18%. Okay? So your answer to this question is 20 milliliters. Right there. Okay? I hope that helps, and I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.